All right, hang on a moment. If you're one of those people who's out there thinking that the iPhone SE isn't flashy enough or doesn't have enough pro features or somehow just isn't good enough because it's priced miles less than many other smartphones in its category, this iPhone isn't for you. And you know what? You're in the small niche of people with that way of thinking, because the fact of the matter is that most non-tech people just want a smartphone that's fast, reliable, inexpensive, and will last them for years. And guess what? The new iPhone SE pretty much delivers in all of those departments, all while beating the pants off of any other smartphone's performance in its class without even breaking a sweat. The original iPhone SE was officially released on March 31st, 2016, taking the form of an updated iPhone 5S. And to be honest, that was one of my favorite phones at the time. I loved that little thing. The tiny 4-inch display was great. Everything about it was great, and it paved the way for a lot of other things that we have today, like the iPhone mini line. Apple hung on to the original iPhone SE for a little over 2 years, but didn't announce its successor until April of 2020. Now, fast forward to 2022, and we're on the third generation of this budget iPhone. And I'm loosely using the word budget because internally, there is nothing budget about this iPhone. And while the price tag might be $30 more than previous generations that we've seen, it sure does pack a lot of punch for the money. On top of that, if the iPhone 6S is any example for lifespan or longevity, which by the way, still runs iOS 15 just fine, I'm pretty sure the new iPhone SE is going to get software updates for years to come. The only real competitor to the iPhone SE that's an iPhone is going to be the iPhone 13 mini. And realistically, for normal people, what the mini offers that the SE doesn't is probably not that big of a deal. And you get Touch ID. How many people miss Touch ID? I know a lot of people out there that either miss Touch ID, wish they had Touch ID, miss the home button, don't like Face ID. I know a lot of people that just like Touch ID and just like their simple, basic, new working iPhone. And that's that. The main point here is that Apple is giving people options at different price points. And I really don't think there's any need to get salty over that. And on top of the fact that you literally won't find a smartphone that is as fast or faster than the iPhone SE at its price point, and let's dive into that. It really could be argued that the iPhone SE has way more power than it even actually needs. I mean, this thing has the A15 Bionic chip in it, which is the same processor that's in the iPhone 13 Pro. Like I said, probably way more power than it needs, but that also ensures that it will last over iOS updates for the long term, not to mention the battery optimizations that we get from that chip as well. And you know what, like I said, it doesn't have Face ID and it doesn't have the advanced camera system that you'll find on the Pro models. It doesn't have an OLED display. It lacks a lot of the bells and whistles that you get from the more expensive smartphones. But a lot of normal people out there, again, don't care about that stuff. This thing has exactly what people need, no more, no less. The display here remains the same 4.7-inch Retina HD LCD display that we've seen before. It does have water resistance here, and on top of that, we have a single 12-megapixel camera on the rear, which might be off-putting to some because, well, it's just one camera compared to multiples that we have on other iPhones, but I will tell you that this camera performs just fine. It can take perfect pictures, no problem whatsoever, especially with the processing power that the A15 adds to all of that. Now, we do not have night mode here, which is kind of a downer for people that like to take low light photography on their phone, but I don't think that it's a deal breaker, and I don't think that a lot of people that are looking for a phone at this price point are going to miss. Now, on top of that, we do have a 7-megapixel front-facing camera as well, so you can take selfies. And like I said, all of the photos here were taken on the iPhone SE, and I think that they look just fine, and they're more than enough for what most people out there need. I mean, honestly, if you're someone who just likes to take photos and videos and use the internet, I really think this phone is going to be great for you. And along with that, you still get features like portrait mode, we have deep fusion, smart HDR4, and live text here, which is definitely made possible by the processor inside. I can't say I expected bad photo or video quality from this smartphone. I mean, again, it's an iPhone and they've been doing this for a while. Okay, so another welcomed addition here to the iPhone SE is the fact that it has 5G support. Now, this is only the sub-6 category of 5G, not the much, much faster millimeter wave 5G, but at the same time, it's going to be years before entire cities are completely blanketed in millimeter wave 5G. And I don't think that it's anything you should really count on missing over the next, 2 to 3 years here, because at least where I live, it's only in a small handful of pockets in the city. It's not even affecting my life directly at all right now. As far as battery life goes, so this might be the weakest link for the iPhone SE. Now, of course, with the A15, we have better optimizations and things like that, and you're able to get significantly better battery life than the previous generation. But like I said, if battery is a thing and you're killing smartphones left and right all day long, you might want to think about some of the options here. Personally, I can burn through the iPhone SE's battery or the iPhone 13 mini's battery at least twice in a day if I'm really going to town doing some work, but I'm not the target demographic for this phone. And I know for a fact, because my mom owns a second generation SE, that the phone can last her a day, and this one has better battery life than the previous generation. So I'm not the demographic for this phone or for its best use case, but I know that normal people out there won't have a problem getting through the day. And for those who can't, the iPhone SE does support fast charging for a 50% charge in 30 minutes, and we even have 7.5 watt wireless Qi charging here as well. All of these like tech phobic or normal people, as I keep saying, just want a smartphone that looks like the last one that they're upgrading from, works the same, and won't cost them an arm and a leg. And like I said, this iPhone SE will continue getting software updates for the next 5 to 6 years probably. So to reiterate, iPhone SE equals good enough for most normal people out there, and at $430, you really can't complain. I mean, it packs a lot under the hood, and I think that it's definitely a phone to look at, if not the sleeper phone of 2022. But the fact is that if you're here hating on the iPhone SE, I promise you that you're not in the target demographic for it. And I'm willing to bet a lot of money that you know many people who are. I mean, it's either that or you're just salty that Apple's managed to accomplish what most other smartphone makers can't in terms of price to performance ratio, and you just want something to complain about. I don't know. You tell me.